Good evening, everyone. This is the Ayer Conservation Commission meeting. This is Thursday, June 13th, 2024. 13th already. It's in another week is like the solstice, right? Summer's over.
It's all downhill from
It's
here.
all downhill from there.
Start losing minutes, baby.
Yep. We have in attendance this evening Heather Hampson as our conservation agent, Jeremiah as a member who's filling in as scribe tonight, George Bacon, member, Mark Phillips, vice chair, myself, John Schmallenberger, as chair. Confirmation of agenda.
No changes.
No changes. Motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. The approval of meeting minutes for May 23rd, 2024. Everyone had an opportunity to look over the minutes. Any corrections? Nope, all good?
It was a brief meeting.
Brief meeting, yeah. Motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 23rd, 2024 as written. Really? George the Who?
So moved.
Oh, second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Who is going to sign the minutes for Jess, or do we want to wait till she gets back to sign them?
We can wait.
Okay.
Public input. This is the time of our meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who is not on the agenda, like to ask a question, make a comment? Now's the time. Okay, seeing none, then we will move on. First item this evening is a request for certificate of compliance, a DEP file number 100-3. 0971 Sandy Pond Road. Was this for a notice of intent that was written a long time ago? And was never done?
Never done.
Are you going to join us, sir?
Yeah, Robert's here, but I can explain. So it was for a, I researched I guess when they did the deed search for the project, this popped up because it was
Yep.
recorded. Yeah, it did its job. It was issued in 2007 for a construction of a shed. I verified with the building department, there was no building permit ever pulled for it. I went back and tried looking at old satellite images for it. There was nothing ever on the property for that shed, so it was never constructed. So we're here now to issue a certificate of compliance with work never being done.
Okay. Mr. Pomprian.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, always a pleasure. Ms. Hampson, as always, has framed the exact issue. That's what we're before you this evening on behalf of the town. The town is scheduled to officially close on the property on June 20th, so closing out this matter will be helpful.
Okay, we should probably do it. Any discussion? Is there a motion to issue a certificate of compliance? DEP file number 100-0309, 71 Sandy Pond Road.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Great.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Commission, thank you. Heather, thank you. I'll just get a copy of that from you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's when he's gonna come back.
Oh, you coming back?
I can come back, yes.
Oh,
Right.
No, just
Yeah.
come back sometime to talk about issues.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
at a future date?
Yep. Let's, I know you have a bunch of folks waiting tonight, but
Yep.
Heather and I are going to meet, and then we will, I'll get back on your agenda, and we'll talk about all things conservation.
Good.
That'd be good.
Sound good? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Next one.
Next.
Is that Baba O'Reilly?
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item this evening is a request for certificate of compliance. DEP file number 100-0436, 04540456. No.
No.
It's 54 and 56 Littleton Road.
Right.
Okay.
0436.
04, just the one.
Yes.
Hi. Could you state your name for the records, please?
Certainly. Lim I'm a project engineer at GPR, Goldsmith Press and Ringwall.
Could you spell that, please?
for Jen.
Oh, certainly. Lim first name is Limhuot. Last name is Tiv, T-I-V.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm here tonight as a representative for Deca Corp, who is trying to close out the outstanding order for the subdivision on Curly Circle. Admittedly, the order condition has been expired. Even with the COVID extension, I think that brought us to, I want to say late last year or early this year, as the expiration date. But I believe that was, mainly due to the fact that there were some conversation between DPW and some drainage issue that had to be addressed with the current owner. I believe at this point that has been addressed. Therefore, they're ready to move forward to close out the outstanding order. The order of conditions that was issued for the subdivision is, let me see if I can get to the site plan there. So the work that was proposed and done and built was really limited to the on-site stormwater management system, the big basin, as well as the drainage swale at the end of Curly Circle. Curly Circle has been constructed and gone through the process of review by the town and accepted by the town as town road. Therefore, the on-site stormwater management system has effectively transferred continuous maintenance and ownership to the town. As far as the properties and any work on site, everything has been completed, stabilized. I understand that there were some bounds that were requested at the time of the filing to be installed at the back corners of, I believe, lot 9, 10, 11, and I want to say 12 as well. But they're all completed as well. So if there's any outstanding questions from the board, I'm more than happy to answer.
Those were all those photographs that were, I saw online.
Yeah. You have questions?
Yeah.
You said what had to be installed? I didn't quite catch that at the
I
very
think
end there.
there were bounds that were...
Yeah, so I went actually out to the site today just to verify that everything's been grown and everything, and everything's stable, everything's done. So the bounds were for the conservation restriction, actually. And they're actually perfect. They're just they're like a foot or two tall, little round circles, say conservation restriction. You can see them if you go in between the two
thank you.
parcels, and there was a row of them, so.
Okay. And actually, that's kind of exactly what I was going to ask about. If in our order of conditions we had our signs or
It's
something.
not our exact signage because it is for the conservation restriction. It looks very similar to ours. The color scheme's different, and instead of saying Air Conservation Commission, that's written around the border, and it basically says conservation restriction on it.
Okay.
And looking from back and forth from where I was standing, overlooking the large basin in between two of the lots, there was nothing going into it either. So, which we still have to do that baseline. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because that was the thing I remember, is that we had something to do with signs, be it ours or the conservation restriction. So thank you. When you said bounds, I was like, what exactly is that?
So I should have
Okay.
specified.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the signs.
Yes.
Thank you. Great. Okay. That's all I had. I'm sorry.
George, any questions? No. Jen?
Nope.
Heather, you been out there to the site?
I did. I went out this afternoon to look at the site to verify that everything had been done. And It has everything's exactly as the photos show, everything's growing and vegetated. I did ask the DPW, because sometimes I know when the road acceptance goes through, sometimes there's a failure to move the stormwater system over, or there's an issue with outstanding reports or maintenance being done, so I verified that with the DPW, that when this road was accepted at, whatever, I think it was this past Springtown meeting, that, that was part of it, and the stormwater system did go over to the town. And they did do their whole inspection prior to the town taking it as well to verify everything was constructed properly, so.
So you have any issues or no?
Oh, I have no issues.
Okay. Well,
Is the CR all taken care of?
The actual language for the CR has been recorded. That was done prior to me taking this position. The only item on that has not been completed, which one of the items I gotta work with Robert on, is the baseline had never been done, and that's what I gotta work with Robert on, trying to figure out how we're gonna get that completed, because at this point now it's gonna fall on our hands. Which we have money in our budget for, so there's no issue with that right now.
okay. Okay.
But like I said, I did notice that the bounds were on site, and didn't seem to be any encroachment from where I was in that area. And this one's weird because it's that Pepsi property and everything there, so.
Okay. Any other discussion?
So the baseline will not hold up the order or
Correct.
the
No,
COC.
it won't, because that was all part of the planning board's approval, not ours.
okay, all right, yep.
And that's already been done. So
Okay.
it's one of those things.
And then I think you did indicate that it was expired. If it is expired, do we need to extend before we can accept?
No,
No, okay.
I mean, you just did this one, the last one was already expired as well. It's just one of those things.
Okay, I'm good.
Is there a motion to issue a certificate of compliance? DEP file number 100-0436.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for
you.
coming by. Good night. Is this yours, Heather? Mm-hmm. I'll give that to you. Thank you.
He was with you, right?
I had them come in case you guys had any questions. Thank you.
Next item this evening is a public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file number to be determined. We will open this public hearing under the Wetland Protection Act and also under the Ayer Wetlands Bylaw. Spectacle Pond Treatment, Littleton Clean Lakes Committee. We have representatives here. Good evening, gentlemen. You can grab another chair and join us, please. Take the comfy chair. So if you could just give us a little overview of what you're planning to do?
Yeah, my name is Leon Weaver. I'm Vice Chair of the Littleton Clean Lakes Committee and Working Manager for the Spectacle Pond Association. It's actually the Littleton and Ayer Spectacle Pond Association. And basically this is an NOI for treatment on Spectacle Pond. We have a bunch of invasives, with three major invasives: curly leaf, milfoil, and fanwort. And this is the worst I've seen in probably 33 years. The last couple of years, we have been doing echo harvesting.
Right.
Are you familiar with that technology?
We've actually been watching what you've been doing there with interest.
Yeah, it's good. And this is our third year of an experiment. Other ponds in the town are also experimenting with echo harvesting. We've had a couple of years where it looked promising initially. There was, as you probably remember, the last 2 years previous to this year, there'd been an unusual warm period lots of rain, and turns out that the pond level was fairly high. What you want for the harvester is lower pond level so that they can get at the weeds and gain purchase on those weeds with their baler. So we had mixed results, long story short, with eco harvesting, but we're fully prepared to go ahead with eco harvesting again this year and do an evaluation next year as to the way forward. And the way forward may be herbicide treatment or perhaps a combination of herbicide and some sort of mechanical harvesting. There's also some, basically you could have divers come in and suck up the weeds from the bottom. So we may be experimenting with that this year. And I think that's mentioned in the NOI.
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah.
So,
And your name, sir?
yeah, Tim Pearson. I'm the assistant conservation agent over in Littleton, and I work 1 day a week over at the water department for them and the Clean Lakes Committee. So we've previously had an order with you guys, and by the time we came to our attention, we need to extend it. It had been expired for 10 days. So that previous order only included herbicide treatment. This would be to include herbicide treatment as well as mechanical treatments as well.
Okay. How much of the pond is in air? It's like a sliver, isn't it?
Approximately 5 acres.
Yeah, it is.
I believe there's a map in here.
Yeah, it's just
They're
about
slivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
And are the treatments for the whole pond, or are they just selective areas?
So this year we're having a pre-treatment survey done in July. Based on that treatment, I think we are going to be limited to 99 cubic yards of material because we don't have a Mass DEP waterway dredge permit. Based on the survey, we're going to be prioritizing certain areas. So I can't say right now where those areas are. It's going to depend on it's going to be a year-to-year evaluation of where we're going to be doing the work.
So you could treat chemically quite a bit, but the eco-harvesting will just be limited.
Correct.
Okay.
In the past, have you treated or harvested in the 5 acres of ours stuff?
The harvester had hit those areas, yeah.
Okay.
There's quite an infestation there, actually, because Bennett's Brook is the primary feed into there. And there's a lot of sedimentation there and some really rich soil for the invasives to grow, and they love it.
Yeah.
It's a good turtle area, too. But, yeah, we have hit those areas fairly hard as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think where we started off was in 2019. We had previously had vendors that were only doing herbicidal treatments. And it was fairly successful. We were able to beat back these 3 main invasives over time and gain some level of control. But in 2019, we went with another vendor that was not successful. We even repeated it in 2020, and they were once again not successful, so we've kind of written them off the list.
The same vendor.
Vendors.
Okay.
So what happened is the invasives just blossomed. We really weren't beating them back year over year, so we, over a 15-year period, starting in 2005, we really had everything beat back fairly well.
Yeah.
And then we completely lost it in 2019 and 20. And even when we invited an old vendor back in that did a very good job with herbicidal treatment, it was so bad they weren't able to beat the invasives back. And then we had this opportunity for eco harvesting. We said, well, this is kind of goodness because it's going to take a lot of materials out of the pond.
Yep.
Obviously, if you kill off these invasives with herbicide treatments, the plants die in the pond, and unfortunately, they consume oxygen. And most ponds have a dissolved oxygen problem. And we really would want to make a dent in that. Not going to entirely cure the problem, but make a dent in it. So that's why we launched into the eco harvesting, because it should be better for the pond if it was efficacious. So there's an if statement in there. And we're hoping to pull that off this year. Again, we were, as mentioned, we were limited to 99 cubic yards, is it? Yes. Without a special permit. But then we can augment that with herbicide treatments. So we're very keen to see what this pre-harvesting and herbicide treatment survey is going to do, so that we can strategize about where we hit various areas along the pond.
Yeah. I don't know the outflow of Spectacle Pond. Is that dammed?
Yes, there's a outlet bay structure. We can control the level of the pond somewhat with stop logs, and it's right across from the boat launch. And this outlet structure is right across from the old Agway on 119. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just right across the road from there.
Yep. And taking out the boards or logs doesn't lower it enough for it sometimes for it to
We don't
keep-
have a lot of leeway there, and we actually have potentially conflicting goals.
Sure.
One goal is that we want to provide sufficient downstream water for the biologics that are downstream. So we very regularly are adjusting the flow with not only the stop logs, but a knife gate valve to ensure that we have 3.5 cubic feet of water going out, always, especially during the summer. You can imagine this summer can be challenging to try to do that, especially in August. We've fortunately, on that side of the equation, we fortunately had wet summers. So we were able to meet those goals fairly well. But there's also a problem with the stop logs only give us maybe 18 inches worth of leeway tops. Yeah. So for instance, if we have a high pond level today and we go out to do harvesting, we would like the pond level to be a little lower. Well, there's another dynamic in play, and that is the Littleton Water Department. They like high pond level. For the harvesting, we would like a little lower pond level. But it can't be so low that we don't fulfill our mass DEP obligation of putting a certain amount of water downstream.
Right.
So we got some complications going on. I
can see that.
Yeah. But with the help of the Conservation Commission and the Water Department, we're able to optimize whatever work is that we need to do.
Yep.
So would you say your invasives, are they back to the pre-2009?
Yeah, in 33 years.
2005 level, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say 33 years, this is the worst we've ever seen it. Turns out that a number of people have moved out and passed on, so I guess I'm the senior guy now, 33 years. So. But anecdotally, we have heard that the pond had been in more pristine shape back before the 80s when these infestations really started coming in gangbusters.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying from when you started treatment in 2005.
2005 is when we started, yes.
So are we back to that state, would you say?
We were
or worse?
even worse than 2005.
That's
yes.
stinky.
Yeah, we rolled back. And like I said, 2019 and 20, we really rolled back our work. Unfortunately, that was a couple of years of misstep. And in hindsight, we just won't do that again. But you very often have to go to the lowest bidder. And that's what we did.
I'll be
And
contacting
we paid the
those
price for
things.
going with the lowest bidder for those 2 years. Now we've tightened up our request for proposals so that it's not only the low bid, it's some other metrics that I can discuss if you like.
Yeah. Okay.
Got any questions, George?
No.
Jen? Heather?
No. I have questions, but I'll just email them in regards to those.
We did submit to National Heritage. They haven't responded with approval or anything yet. So
Yeah, and we still wait for DEP.
And then we don't have a file number either.
correct.
Okay. So we can't really go forward. But you say that you're going to do a pre-treatment inspection in July?
Yep, that'll be in July.
Seems late, doesn't it?
We tried to time it so we can get the pre-treatment survey as close to the actual treatment itself, so that it best represents the current state of the pond by the time that they go out for treatment.
Right, right.
Okay.
So, just going to continue this until our next meeting? Okay. Is there a motion to continue the public hearing notice of intent, DEP file number to be determined, spectacle pond treatment, until our next meeting, which is June 27th?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
June 27th?
Yes.
That's what it's got written down here.
That's the 27th, I just
Yeah.
Is
verified.
that wrong?
No, it's correct.
I just didn't know if I heard correctly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I had to look it up to make sure I was right. No, I'm right. It's always my biggest fear.
I figured it was me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. That's interesting about the eco harvesting, huh?
Yeah,
Kind of discouraging.
I'll be asking questions.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Also helps when you have a water department that's in charge of all your lakes that basically has an endless supply of money.
Tell me what endless supplies of money.
I used to work at Littleton, I know.
All righty, our next item this evening is a request for determination of applicability upgrades to National Grid Substation, number 4 Bishop Road. Good evening, sir.
Hello, my name is Paul Martin. I'm with BSC Group, here representing New England Power Company.
Good evening.
And I assume everyone's kind of had a chance to run through the RDA and seen that the work is only proposed in the buffer zone. And there's actually one element that's outside of your jurisdiction altogether in terms of the line trap. But kind of right on the edge. I don't know if you guys want to take a look at that, but
Can you explain what that means, lion trap, for people that...
sure, I actually printed that out if you want to take a quick. It's a device that shields the telecommunications system, and it's mounted on the pole, and it prevents the microwaves from dispersing out and potentially being captured by other equipment. So that's what the triple structure thing is. It's actually outside of your jurisdiction. And then the other two things, sorry, the line trap is inside your jurisdiction. It's the what are those? Those are some changes to some structures there. And then this one over here is some handholds, which are basically like little mini vaults. You've probably seen some version of them when people have like an irrigation system and they have a little green plastic thing that's set in the ground. They also install those if there's a splice in an electric cable or fiber optic cable, and it allows for maintenance access down into that. So there'll be a little bit of excavation for those handholds. Then the chambers will be installed and then it'll be backfilled and covered over with, or surrounded with stone in the disturbed area.
And you said the line traps were in our area?
Yeah, they
Those
are.
the,
I'm trying to remember what this piece of
handhold.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Line trap and the handholds are inside the buffer.
Is that just a riser structure there, Paul?
This one?
Yeah, is that what that, just a riser structure coming off the,
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah.
I'm not positive. I'm just.
Yeah, I don't remember. See if the engineering drawing says what it is. Looks like it's going to be a couple of small pole structures. See how if you look at the drawing, there's 3 individual. Yeah. So those would probably just be, like the auger that they use for direct embedding, wooden distribution poles along the street.
So you said these will require some excavation.
Yeah, those
Would the excavation just be for the pole
That's
that
the
it's
other thing that's
on?
going in is talking about, here's Bishop Road here.
There is no excavation associated with those.
It's just going on an
Those-
existing-
Oh, yeah, those are on the structures.
Okay. Existing structure.
Yes, existing structure.
Thank you.
You said any soils that are piled on site to be used, backfilled.
Right, but the handholds obviously will displace a certain volume that can't be reused or whatever.
Right.
Their typical process is to either remove it from the site, or if they're somewhere on their right-of-way in an upland area, they might spread it out and create a little thin layer of it and seed it.
Yep.
But it would not be placed inside the substation. Obviously, that's a completely stoned surface. They don't want soil inside the substation. And in the application, there's their BMPs as far as how they do their soil handling, and if the soil, if there's any little stockpile, if it's actively being worked or reused or moved or whatever, they don't cover it. But if it's going to be left in place for a long time, they typically cover it and have the wattle around the perimeter of it.
Yep. Questions, Jen?
Nope.
So on the application, the applicant is Kevin O'Brien.
He's a representative of New England Power.
Okay. It's New England Power property.
Yes, it's their substation.
Okay. Now, isn't there an open water on that property now?
There could be. There's been a fair amount of
There's been a lot of activities. It's hard to remember because
We're doing these.
they went through
Be with the one that
and did
is still open.
Westford Road. Westford Road was, I think, just finished up a year or so ago, and then they did the whole transmission line, all the way going through Ayer, Shirley Ayer, and I think Westford or Groton going that way. And they did that one a year or so ago. There's another one that they're going through, I think, in the process now of permitting to do another set of transmission line maintenance work. So it's hard to keep track of all of them because there's so many, but I didn't verify there was another open one of the, for this one. I mean, if it is anything, it's an RD. Because I did go out and meet with somebody for this, but we met at the substation, but it was for the transmission line work. It wasn't for anything in the substation.
Yeah, we met with, what's her name?
Allison Milliman?
Yeah. her.
Yes. And then I do know, I say last March, not this past March 2023, we had them, and that was when blackout happened because somebody in Westford hit something they weren't supposed to.
Right here.
We went out, we had a land use meeting to discuss an extension of this, but because I think because we're seeing this work here now, my thought is because of the restraints, because of the wetland in the front, really restrains how much they can expand on that property because they can't fill into that wetland without replicating it, and you can't replicate on that site, it's not large enough. So I think that's where we're seeing this. I don't know if there's anything, I don't remember anything being since I've came downstairs for this one, whether you did something prior to that, I don't
This might still be
know.
open here, Heather? This might still be open, because they just put these in only about a year ago, these structures.
Okay, I'll have to look.
This might still be open? I think that might be open.
And if it is open, unless it was an NOI, then it would be open. An RDA, there's no actual closing of an RDA, so
Yeah.
I'll just verify that.
These would have been in conjunction with the line.
Yeah, they could have been.
Yeah. But I know there was something for the station,
Yeah, we went out there, we walked all around it.
right?
Okay, I'll double check the files for that then. And clarify with someone if that work has been completed so we can close it out if it was an NOI on that.
And I have seen some activity down there.
Yeah, we did. So when this came before us, and I know I just saw that new structures, so I know sometimes it'll trigger site plan. That was the whole thing too when we discussed the expansion of it. So I brought it up to Charlie, the zoning enforcement officer, who verified if it has to go to site plan or not. Looking at this plan, he says it did not. I don't think what they're doing as far as the work that you see with the equipment that's out there, I don't think it's adding any equipment. I think it's just replacing. So it's not triggering anything for a site plan for the planning board at this time. That's what the building commissioner told me. But I did double check with that to make sure it wasn't gonna be larger than it needed to and to go to another step. So I did verify that too in this one.
You're not confusing this with the open one over on Westford Road, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because we kind of walked around.
Yeah, there was another
most of
Westford
that.
Road,
We walked
yeah.
down and we walked up the power line.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot.
Yeah, we are busy.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments? Discussion? Was there a motion to issue a negative determination on the RDA upgrades to National Grid substation for Bishop Road?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
I abstain.
You abstain, yes.
Just so you know, those are just examples, those aren't
Yeah, no, that's
specific
fine, but
ones that they're
I'm just gonna
proposing.
keep them in here in
That's
case
fine.
anyone wants to ever look at them.
I have no idea which manufacturer or anything that they're gonna be using. Does anybody want this?
Oh, I'll take the legend if you don't wanna run it
Okay.
back again.
Sure.
It's always easier to read. You never know what I'm
Rubber
gonna.
band if you want.
Oh, yes, I never know what I'm gonna get for questions, so I always take things when people offer them.
Sure.
It just means it gets recycled, that's all.
All right, looks like you guys are done for the night.
Almost,
Almost.
almost.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for
Have a
coming.
good one.
Have a good night.
Same.
Yeah, if you two can look through my notes on that, just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
So a lot of detail on there.
Well, I heard you say is there open water, and I'm like, okay, open water. Thank you.
Conservation Office and member updates.
Okay.
Actually, Heather, I'm sorry, can I see that?
Yeah.
Since I abstained, am I signing that?
Yeah, it doesn't, because that doesn't, it's just,
Okay.
doesn't matter.
All right, just want to make sure.
Yeah, you can sign it. It's the vote that counts. That's illegal. So updates, let's see. On Monday, I met with Ann Gagnon and a representative from Mass Wildlife, and we walked up at the Stratton Hill property to go through some of the open space up there. That was before the planning board at their not this meeting, this past Tuesday, their last meeting in May. For this definitive subdivision. There's a total of, I can't remember how many, 130, 140 plus acres that'll be left to open space gifted to various entities, whether it's the town or Fish and Game, is Mass Wildlife. So we went up there to walk that, to get an idea of what it looks like, what any existing trails that might be out there, what the existing conditions are, what our idea of what we might like to see for restoration, or if anything, or invasives were out there, and what the property looked like. So we did that on Monday.
Was that primarily north of the power lines?
Yes, we focused on the actual. It's not part. It's owned by the same group, but it's in a different title. The parcel of land. There's two parcels that go around Long Pond. Just outside the power lines. It's not, if you look at the assessor's map, they're not under Fox Meadow Realty, they're under something else, Allison Trust, I think. And those are two parcels that'll be gifted to the town. Looking at it, we're just trying to figure out whether it be beneficial for the town to take it, if Fish and Game's gonna take everything north of the power lines, because then that becomes landlocked. There is an existing trail already out on site for that whole parcel that basically almost goes around the whole thing, it starts to, it's a definitive trail, and then the further you get out into it, it starts to slow. You can see where people still might walk it, or animals do, but it's not as clear as some of the other ones.
Yeah,
which
I've
they,
been out there.
Yeah, so we walked that, and then we went over and looked at the mound of dirt that was up there that turtles are using for nesting, and the thought is to get Natural Heritage out there to verify if that will be acceptable to keep for their turtle nesting area instead of having to just construct a new one, since we already have an area that's being used, and if that one would be viable to keep and satisfy that part of their NISA permit. So did that on Monday. That was a lot of fun. It was nice to be outside. It was a gorgeous day.
Did you see a lot of sign of turtles?
There was some eggs out there that had hatched. Whether they were a year old or if they were from this year, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know I'd seen it there before.
Hatched or eaten.
They wouldn't have. Yeah, they wouldn't have eaten. They wouldn't have been hatched. They would have been dug out. But there was at least 3 holes dug into that pile.
Okay.
So, and then I've been continuing to do my little passion project of pulling the knotweed at Peroni Park. Which the geese make it a little more difficult because I can't walk back and forth. I have to like walk really far around so I don't like anger the geese with their little baby ducklings.
Geeselets.
Yeah, they get, because I mean, literally, you have to give them a good 5 feet without them like squawking at you, and they still like half hiss at you. I'm like, I'm giving you so much room, but it's if you look at it, because I've gone out about a week and a half for a couple hours to pull. I think it's making a difference because you're not getting the big growth. It's just like literally just tiny, and every time I go, every time I go, I'm getting in a couple sections a good foot or so of root out in certain sections, and I'm like yanking that out. So I'm hoping it makes a difference. That's just my little passion project of my own that I'm seeing if I can do something with, because it is only a 200-foot section or so of knotweed. So I'm hoping we can ratify it. If it works this year, me just trying it, then maybe we can get some volunteers next year to go out and work on that. I did witness 1 or 2 of the plantings that we had done that had not survived already, but the majority of them are still growing and thriving so far. So that's so far.
The ones
so good
along
in
Grove
there.
Pond.
Yeah, on Grove Pond. So that was good. What else? Excuse me. Met yesterday so we did get the final draft from the state and comments for the CR for Shaker Mill Pond. Still waiting on the baseline for that before it comes to you guys to review. I will email you all the draft so you can see it. I did email it to Danny and the town planner to review as well. They did put the signs out out there yesterday. Were not well received from the neighbors. So we are looking at changing them. When I met with the developer and Places Associates, they asked if I wanted where we wanted to put the signs. I said, I think just consider, we typically for CRs you do a couple, like 2 or 3 per lot, so people understand like where the line is. I didn't want to do that. I was like, well, let's just do 1. I mean, we don't want to intrude these people's backyards. I'll just do 1 in the middle. That's fine. And I said a standard CR sign, which is what we have on Curly Circle. It's like a 1 to 2 foot wooden post with a little round circle on it that says conservation restriction. They put out a street sign, a 5 foot, like a no parking looking like sign. So those were not well received. So we're working
So they
that.
didn't use a little round thing. And they-
So I'm actually going to note,
and
now
they
that I
put it
saw
on a
these ones.
Tall pole.
Yeah, now that I saw these,
And
we
we got
have
the
it.
reception we got over on Long Pond, I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So now that I saw what we have at Curly Circle, I'm actually going to mention it to the town planner tomorrow to have him go look at it. I didn't have my phone on me so I can take a picture of it, so he can either point the developer to see like, this is what we want, this, because those are perfect. And then they're going to find a different location for them and try to make everybody happy. So we're slowly getting our way through that project. So and I did email Attorney Alan Shockett in regards to the CR saying that you guys will review it, but we obviously can't sign on anything till I have that final baseline with all the pictures and GIS markings and stuff, because that's part of the CR. So we're still working our way through that, and once we have all that and everyone agrees to that, then we can bring it before you guys for everyone. You to sign, for them to sign, the select board to sign, and we get all that finally done. Working our way through it.
Nice. Anything else?
Yeah, it's been a busy, this week's been busy, other than that, it's been fairly slow. Next meeting, we will have, Panther Place is coming for extensions on their, orders, so.
Okay.
12 of them, so that should be fairly quick, but I don't know how the votes might take longer than the request.
We can power through those.
Yeah, oh, and one other quick thing, I did get an email in regards to a property owner up there at 136 Washington Street, one of the first two houses that they did the A&R lots, cutting beyond the boulders. When I went out and verified that site before we did the certificate, the boulder line was there. I verified the order of conditions. I didn't see anything that said we needed to have those signs. Unfortunately, it was actually on the plans, but it was never actually in the special conditions, so I didn't see it. So the person at 136 was cutting. I sent them a letter. I went out and looked at it yesterday too. It's been so busy. Yesterday, they didn't know that that's what those boulders were for.
Oh.
So they said, oh, okay. I go, can I ask why? They go, oh, they live with their parents. There were snakes. They didn't like them, so they just cut the brush back. There's still trees in there. They cut maybe 10 feet in. I'm like, well, don't do that anymore. I'm like, we'll let it grow back. It should be fine.
Yeah.
So, and while I was on site, I peeked down at the neighboring house. Their line makes it a little bit more of an S. So I know they did some clearing a little while ago, but it wasn't in that area because it makes that S. It's hard to tell from the road. So when I was on the property, I peeked over and it was fine. So going forward, when we start doing the ones going down into the new subdivision on Gaskin Lane, I think is the main street, I think then to Briggs. So I think Gaskin Lane's the first street out there. I'll make sure, because I don't think it's in the orders either, but I know it's gonna be on that, on the plans. I'll make sure those signs go up so we don't have this issue going forward in there. And that owner on there now does know, so resolved. That was good. It was just one of those things they just didn't know, so.
Sure.
Which is what I expected, so that was good.
We're gonna put a sign up though?
I'm gonna let it go and see what happens. If it's something that it keeps happening, because now that that property is sold, I'm not sure how much of an enforcement I have on it. I may ask when we put the signs.
It doesn't have a COC, did?
Yeah, it does. The 136 does. Those, because when we went forward, I went and looked at it, and those boulders were there. I reviewed the order of conditions. I did, and it wasn't written in there to have those signs. It was only on the list as shown on the plans, and I didn't verify it in the plans. I just reviewed the order of conditions. I have them, when I do them, I write it into the order of conditions, and it's on the plans. So it's both, and Joanne didn't, but it's just fine. That was on me. So when I do the Gaskin Lane, that first one on the corner, I might ask the developer if he can just sneak one or two over on that side and see if he's amenable to that or not, just to, because this owner now knows, but going forward, I don't know if that's
that's more my concern.
That's more my concern too. This is gonna be a constant thing, so.
But since you've had communication with the owner already?
Yeah.
It might maybe send them a letter and just say, while they're completing the other lots, they were supposed to have put this in.
Yeah.
Would you mind if they go in and,
Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah,
I
just
have their
kinda-
email and do
yeah.
that, or say if I have the signs, if they don't mind putting a post out and putting one and just giving them
The
one.
developer, they
Yeah.
were supposed to do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna ask the
But just say
developer
that,
if he can do
yeah.
that for me, when he finishes out that first lot there.
Yeah, and if you get the response back, then you can send that on to them saying, I've already spoken with them, they're comfortable in you doing it.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just for them whenever a new owner comes in. I think it would be helpful to have that. And even if I could just get him to be like, you don't have to be right back here. If you just put like one close to the property line between the two, then it'll kind of be like, oh, that's what this thing is there for. It might help for both lots going forward instead of having multiple on each lot, just to have maybe one or two along the property lines. So we'll try. We'll see what we can find. But that's it. It was a busy week. The last week before that was not. The last 2 weeks. This week has been a busy one.
Is that it? Mm-hmm.
We'll keep it
Jen,
brief.
do you have any?
No, but I have put in our notes that August 22nd is officially Hawaiian Shirt Night.
Excellent, thank you. George?
No.
Mark?
But actually, did you end up going out with Alan, on the 8th, the kayak?
He actually canceled it
Oh, okay.
because of the quote-unquote rain we were supposed to have earlier in the week, and then they changed it. He did change it to the 29th of this month. That is a date that I cannot go. So if anybody wants to go in my place, I believe I was supposed to be in the canoe with Barry. You can go with Barry. But yeah, it's my niece's birthday, so I can't go that day, or party, so, which is kind of bumming. But yeah, they just changed it to the 29th. But he said there will be multiple ones, so I'm hoping if another one occurs, I can go on that one. But I've walked McPherson Road and peered over to the river quite a bit, so I know what's out there for the most part, how it looks. It's a beautiful section.
Yeah, we put a canoe in there. It's like taking your life in your hands, getting a canoe in the river there.
Oh, off a Walker? Yeah, that's what Alan was saying. It's a horrible spot. I go, well, it's not ours. It's down in Shirley.
Is it steep or the water flowing real much? Like what's?
Well, unloading your car on a narrow, or your boat on a narrow road, and,
Gotcha.
and getting it down there, and then getting your car out of the way. And it'd be nice to have a launch there or something.
Yeah, there's I know having a launch in town is a difficult one. I think going forward with a lot of it's a matter, having one in Devon's in that area would be fantastic. Obviously, it's not our land. We can't put one in. Same thing with the launch on Walker Road. That's not ours. And I think that even might be state that has that launch there. And I know, so speaking with them, they're not marked ones to do a lot of maintenance on things. They're just like, well, here's what you have. If you use it, great. If not, okay.
Okay.
Which I'm like, that doesn't seem right to me, but okay. So, but I know a launch in town would be great on the river, and it's just a matter of access that we just don't really have.
Yeah.
We only have the one that's the Buddhist temple, and it's very steep on that section.
Did you see the emails from Lori Nearing about the water chestnut poles on Grove Pond, and how it's been so successful that she's canceling some of the pools? It's like it's to the maintenance stage almost.
Already after 2 years?
2 years. That first year there was that one spot towards the public gardens. It was like trying to canoe on wet grass. It was so thick you couldn't get through it. And now it's pretty much open. That's a pretty good success.
That's a great success.
Yeah. So good for her. I mean,
I'm hoping my knotweed becomes the same way.
What's that?
I said I hope my knotweed comes the same way.
It will.
We put her in charge of all the other invasives on the ponds.
Who's in charge?
Lori. I mean, if she did such a good job.
Oh, just get her.
Yeah.
Get her
all right,
involved.
got the water chestnuts done. Now moving on.
Onto the curly milfoil or whatever.
Yeah.
Curly milfoil.
I have a question too about North County Land Trust. What's going on with them?
We'll discuss that when I finally get to meet with Robert.
Okay.
I have my list of items, and that's one of the main ones on that one, is figuring out what we're doing with our CRs going forward.
If you get a time with Robert, a meeting, if I'm around, I'd love to sit in on that if I could.
Sure.
Thank you.
Maybe we can have him come to Hawaiian shirt night and we'll see what he looks like outside a suit.
I want to see that.
Well, I think people would. I think we'd have a full meeting to see that.
That's awesome. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Passes unanimously.